Hello and welcome. I am Ladi Akiriduluale. Tonight, Inspector General of Police and Director General of DSS meet with the President and Vice President separately behind closed doors. Police cancel invitation to Senate President Bukola Saraki to appear and respond to allegations by Offa Bank robbery suspects. Demand written explanation instead. Minister of Interior confirms escape of 210 inmates from Mina maximum prisons in Niger State following Sunday night's jailbreak. And Guatemala's Fuego volcano erupts, killing no fewer than 25 people, with several more still missing.
And on business news tonight, Central Bank of Nigeria reduces dollar exchange rate for Bureau de Change operators from 360 naira to 357 naira per dollar.
On sports news tonight, former world #1 Serena Williams withdraws from the French Open ahead of a clash with rival Maria Sharapova due to injury.
And from Abuja, management of Ajaokuta Steel Company estimates $625 million as the amount required to completely revive the firm.
We begin tonight from the presidential villa in Abuja, where the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, the Director General of the DSS, Lawal Daura, and the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, today met with President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors. The three officials later met with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, also behind closed doors for over 2 hours. Although the Inspector General of Police declined to speak to State House correspondents on the agenda of the meeting, it is believed to be in connection with the police summons of the Senate President, Bukola Saraki. The police had on Sunday invited Dr. Saraki for questioning after suspects arrested in connection with the robbery in Offa, Kwara State allegedly implicated him. The police said it would probe Dr. Saraki's alleged connection with the suspects. And the Senate President, Dr. Saraki, no longer has to appear in person before the police to respond to allegations by 5 of the suspects arrested over the bank robbery in Offa, Kwara State. Dr. Saraki made this known in a tweet where he stated that he has received a letter from the police to that effect. Instead, according to the tweet, he is to respond to the allegations in writing within 48 hours. Earlier, the Senate President had announced on his personal Twitter account that he had asked his ADC to pick up the letter of invitation by the police, asking him to report and respond. He said picking up the letter would enable him honor the alleged invitation immediately. Senator Saraki had earlier asked Nigerians to disregard the claims by the police against him, describing the allegations as baseless and a ploy to implicate him by all means. And the leadership of the new PDP, otherwise known as NPDP, has withdrawn from its scheduled talks with the Vice President today. They are citing, amongst other things, the treatment of the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives by security agencies. The group is also accusing the presidency of lack of interest in the talks, claiming negotiations have been done in bad faith. According to a statement signed by the spokesperson of the new PDP, Mr. Abubakar Baraje, there had been ongoing talks between the new PDP, the APC, and the presidency in recent days. He, however, accuses the presidency of misrepresenting what transpired at last week's meeting by trying to blackmail some of the principal actors in a national daily. The statement adds, quote, "The persecution of our members using state security apparatus has continued unabated. We recognize the powers of the police to conduct criminal investigations, but by rushing to the public with the issue, even when they have unfettered access to the leadership of the National Assembly, suggests an attempt to undermine, caricature, and humiliate the institution of the legislature." According to the new PDP, the alleged attempt by the police to rope the Senate President into the Offa Bank robbery and the DSS withdrawal of half of Speaker Yakubu Dogara's security details are enough incentive to pull out of the talks. The NPDP leadership said it will brief its members and get a fresh mandate if good faith returns to the discussions. The Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dembazo, has confirmed that 210 inmates have escaped from the Mina maximum prisons in Niger State following Sunday night's attack on the facility by armed bandits. He also disclosed that 35 of that number have already been recaptured, with security agents trying to apprehend the other inmates. The minister, who was one of the early callers at the facility today, arrived in company of the state governor, Abubakar Sani Bello, for an assessment of the damage done and to ensure the safety of residents of the area. One prison official and a motorcycle rider were killed in the attack.
On the night of Sunday, the 3rd of June, armed bandits, about 30 in number, attacked the Mina maximum prisons located off David Mark Road and in a dramatic firefight, traded gunshots with men of the prison service on duty for more than an hour. At the end, 2 persons, a prison warder on duty and a commercial motorcyclist, were shot dead, while 210 prisoners escaped. Residents around the prison yard narrated their ordeal when the incident occurred.
There was enough of shootings everywhere. Guns. We don't even know the kind of gun those people are using.
Amongst the early callers at the prison were the Interior Minister, Abdulrahman Dambazao, accompanied by the Niger State Governor, Abubakar Bello, and the Controller General Prisons, Mr. Jafaru Ahmed. The minister and the other guests briefed the media after inspecting the facility, explaining that a combined team of security agents are on the trail of the escaped inmates.
There are so far now about 182 or so that are still at large. Initially, 210 prisoners escaped. About 30 have been brought back out of the 210.
The state will do whatever it can to support the federal government. We're partners in this. We'll see that we do our own bit to make things easy for them over here.
On the challenge of inadequate manpower confronting the Nigerian prison service, the Minister of Interior explained that efforts are on to recruit more staff for the agency, pointing out the need to address the issue of prisons congestion across the country.
We know very well that there's a shortage of manpower in the prisons, and we're doing all efforts to ensure that we cover those gaps. In terms of the congestion, the judiciary has to play a big role in that. We have to ensure that we have excellent police investigation so that cases do not last forever in courts due to lack of evidence and things like that. So we are doing quite a lot in terms of the congestion of the prisons.
Now the onus is on the security agents so engaged to capture the escaped inmates, as they are a real and present danger to society.
And from there, we can go now to take a more detailed look at the implications of this jailbreak, which is just the latest in a long line of jailbreaks. And I'm being joined on the news at 10 now by retired Army Colonel Okosun. Thank you very much for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you, Ladi.
It's not pleasant news. It highlights another aspect of the insecurity of the country. What do you make of this latest jailbreak?
Well, I see this as another one of what now has become a pattern of jailbreaks. Ladi, jailbreaks have always been there, the world over. Inmates have also attempted to break out of jail. But here we're having jailbreaks organized and aided from without.
That's it.
From outside. Well, I would want us to take a more cursory look at these jailbreaks. The first that was most curious was the Bauchi jailbreak, where you had Boko Haram elements invading prison
to free some of
the inmates. The one in Kogi was also engineered by elements desirous of freeing their colleagues inside the prison yard. Now, this is happening in Mina, and if you recall the recent skirmishes around that general area, I imagine that those who were arrested in those parts were put in Mina prison. I suppose so. So you are having another attack from without into the prison. So the pattern that is being formed now is that disaffected elements from outside are invading prisons. And why would they do that? They would do that because these prisons can be breached. As it stands, the prison detention facilities we have all over the country have outlived their usefulness.
Many of them are very old.
Absolutely old. Most of them are older than I am. And I have, in the course of duty, been to quite a number of prisons. Some of them you can...
On visits, though, not as...
No, to come on, as part of my duty, been to prisons. Now, there are some of these prisons that you can breach with a Land Rover. They are mud walls. Even the so-called maximum security prisons are not, in fact and indeed, maximum security prisons. That's why.
Now, what's to be done? Because usually when these things happen, the discussions usually center on what happened, how did it happen, why did it happen, and possibly identify one or two scapegoats for that particular incident. Yeah. But the more important question is left usually unasked or unanswered, which is, how do you prevent this? Because in this particular instance, this Mina one, the story, yet as unconfirmed, was that 2 inmates in particular, whose sentences, death sentences, were to be confirmed, were the ones who, so to speak, engineered this. Now, if it's been so easy, you remember the case of Vampire in Owerri, right there in the court premises with so much security. Although he was later recaptured. What's to be done next? People talk about either relocating the prisons or building new ones entirely. Given your own security background, which would you? What
would I do? Now, listen, lad, most of the prisons have to be relocated. Ilorin, for one, is smack in the center of town. The one in Yola is one that is the least acceptable to me. So you have to rebuild, redesign, and rebuild prison yards. That is the security, the dilemma you have out there is being sharpened now by these occurrences in this security space. The dilemma in the security space is being sharpened by the occurrences we're having now. So build the prisons, retrain the prison officials. Look, laddie, equip them, and look, their welfare has to be looked into. The average prison officer is not well cared for. It's not well catered for. And equipment, the prison yards as we have them now don't have enough electronic equipment to monitor. What about early warning? They don't have early warning. Alarm systems. How are these? People must think about this. And even the prison staff, what weapons do they carry?
Yes, because I was going to ask that, why does it seem to be so easy?
Yes, because the weapons they carry are Second World War vintage. They can't cope with the kind of...
You said they could be breached by a Land Rover.
Oh, yeah, so some of the walls can be breached, seriously. Some of the gates can be breached, yes.
But in the meantime, what are we supposed to do? Because some have said, look, while we're building new prisons and we're relocating the old ones to other places, decongesting the population. Because now you talk about 210 inmates escaping.
Yes.
I don't know what the facility capacity of Mina is. But if we take virtually all the prisons, they are overbusting with inmates.
Across board.
Which is a problem itself. Now, in that respect, would you say that some of those who are awaiting trial, for example, should be allowed to go be in other forms of detention or be allowed to come from home or something if their offenses are ordinarily easy offenses?
That's a question for the justice system now. You hear of people getting to police station and being thrown in prison for very, very trivial offenses. And you hear also judicial officers, judges going to court, going to the prison to free inmates. This should be done more regularly. Decongest the prison. And I'm also told that there are no prisons that are not overpopulated. If you depopulate them, it still doesn't solve the problem, laddie. Even if you depopulate them, you can still breach the prisons as they are today.
Thank you very much, Colonel Okosun, for joining us.
Thank you so much, laddie.
Thank you very much.